Hi. Hello? So, you know how much Jenna loved your cat bag, right? She saw a bag with cats on it in the store and really wanted it, but we didn't want to spend the money for it because it's not worth it. Do you think you can let her have yours or at least borrow it? She didn't forget about it. She will get tired of it eventually and then you can have it back. Are you serious? After what happened last time, it will be a no. Why did you take so long to respond earlier? And yes, I am serious. And that's really rude of you. She's a little girl. She just wants to play around with it. Why are you being like this? 1, I was busy. 2, I don't care. 3, see number 2. How heartless can you be? Just let her play with the stupid bag. You will not order me around. If she wants to play with the bag, then I will send you a link so you can purchase one yourself. I already told you I don't want to spend money on it. Okay, so how is that my problem? I bought it for myself. That bag is $2,000 and I will not have it ruined. Stop bothering me. So now you are saying that my daughter will ruin the stupid bag? What an evil, cruel jerk you are. You can afford it anyway. Just because I can afford a bag that I worked hard for doesn't mean that your daughter is entitled to it. You are her mother, you entitled, stupid jerk. If she wanted something, then you buy it for her. Go shove a vacuum up your butthole and maybe it will be able to suck the stupidity out of you. Stop contacting me. F you, jerk! I will be telling your grandparents about what a jerk you are. Go ahead. They already know that I am in the right. Sorry, sweetie, they aren't going to stop loving me. When my daughter was 11, the only thing she wanted for her birthday was some heavy-duty rope so she and her brother could play in the woods with it and do things like make tree swings. My husband and I went to Home Depot and bought her something like 15 feet of rope that ended up costing about 50 bucks. We wanted her to have some nice rope. It was an unusual thing for a little girl to ask for her birthday, but we wanted her to be able to use it the way she was imagining, so we didn't mind spending more than we'd expected getting this rope. At the time, we lived in this enormous planned community that had hundreds of acres of natural areas and parks filled with big, old live oaks, so plenty of trees for everyone in the community to enjoy in whatever way they pleased. One day, my daughter, our son, and 2 friends of theirs took the rope to a nearby park and looped it around some tree branches to swing off of. They were minding their own business in the park when this little boy of about 4 approached them, watching them swinging. They asked if he wanted to try, but he said his mom wouldn't let him. They said okay and went back to swinging. Pretty soon the little boy's mom came over and told them they needed to untie the rope and leave the park because her son was too young to swing and it wasn't fair that he had to watch them have fun while he couldn't. Now, for safety's sake, I had trained my kids that they didn't have to do anything that a strange adult told them to do, and if a stranger asked them to do anything, they should give the adult my phone number and tell them to call me, which is what my daughter did. The entitled mom snorted and said, "I don't need to talk to your mother." She then walked back to where she and some other mothers had been having a picnic and got a small knife, then came back and cut my daughter's rope off the tree. My children were terrified that this wacky lady came at them with a knife and cut the rope and came flying home on their bikes extremely upset. When they told me the story, I was so pissed. I'd been in a car wreck a few weeks prior and had a broken pelvis. I was just to the point where I was able to walk okay using a walker, but I wasn't supposed to be driving yet. But I was so angry I put my walker in my van and drove to the park looking for the woman my children had described. She was still there and was very smug and not at all sorry. I introduced myself and told her I was the mother of the kids with the rope. She told me the same story the kids had and admitted she had cut the rope because her son wasn't old enough to swing. I was astounded. I believed what my kids were saying to me, but I'd assumed the mother would spin it, that she was worried that my kids were hurting the tree or something. I told her, "You're going to need to pay for the rope you destroyed. That was my daughter's birthday present and you had no right to cut it." She said, "I don't think so. I'm not paying for anything." I wasn't sure what to do at this point, but I asked her for her name and address and she stupidly gave it to me. She kind of laughed and said, "Sure, I'll give you my name. I've got nothing to hide." I hobbled back to my van and went home, seething with anger. I called my husband and he immediately said, "Call the police," which I did. The policeman came within about 20 minutes since we lived in a pretty small town and I told him the story. He said, "That's destruction of property and she can't do that." She lived within walking distance of my house, so he drove up there to talk to her and was back within a few minutes saying, "She says she'll pay for the rope now, or you can press charges and I'll arrest her. It's your choice." I was pretty surprised to hear that she could get arrested over destroying 50 bucks of rope because that really hadn't occurred to me. I thought maybe she'd get a ticket or something. When it comes to my kids, I'm a mother tiger, and by this point, I wanted this lady to spend a few hours in the county jail, but I didn't want to be unreasonably vindictive either. I asked the cop what he thought I should do, but he said he couldn't make the choice for me. I called my husband again, and he said, "Press charges. You already gave her an opportunity to pay for the rope, and she didn't want to." When I told the cop I wanted to press charges, he smiled and said, "That's the right choice. You gave her a chance to pay." He told me he was going back to her house to arrest her. I assume he did, though I never heard anything further about it. We ended up having to buy my daughter some new rope ourselves, but it was worth it to put that entitled mother in her place. This literally just happened yesterday. I was at the pool with my auntie and 4 of my little cousins. At this said pool, there is a big pool, a medium kid-sized pool, and a baby pool, all in ground. My aunt was in the baby pool with my 2 baby cousins, and my 2 other cousins were in the medium pool. I was alone in the big pool swimming around. Now, this pool has a rule that any child under a certain height cannot be in the big pool area, even under the guidance of an adult. There was some toddler who was running around the pool edge where he tripped on some sunglasses by the side of the pool and fell in. I was the only one who saw him, so I quickly swam over and picked the flailing, crying child out of the water. He was sobbing, but I calmed him down and he said, "Thank you." Seemed like a super sweet kid. I wondered where the flip his parents were and why he was left alone in the pool area, which he shouldn't even be in. I asked him where his mom was, and he showed me a lady who was tanning in a pool chair, not even paying attention to her child at all. I told her what happened, and the conversation was as follows. "He fell in?" "Yeah, but I saved him. He's okay. Why is he even..." She cut me off. "Well, why did you take him out of the pool?" "Because he was gonna drown? Kids his size can't even be in this pool." "He is trying to learn to swim. This would have been a great learning opportunity and you messed it all up." "If I didn't do anything, he would have drowned. Why weren't you watching him?" "He would have been fine if it wasn't for you. He was just playing around the pool." "Well, kids his age can't even be in this part of the pool." "What are you talking about? I paid to be here. He can go to whatever pool he wants." Now, there are signs everywhere explaining the rule of height and children. Apparently, entitled people can't read. I point to one of the rule signs. "Well, I never saw that. It wasn't my fault. These lousy lifeguards should have told me the rule." I then reported her to the lifeguard, and she was escorted out of the pool for harassment and neglect of her child, I guess. I then just went to the medium pool and chilled with my cousins. Other than that, my day was rather fun. Have a nice day, laddies. Your kid can't be bad at swimming if he's already drowned. My neighbors had this weird relative. He was so odd. No one really liked it when he showed up, even though they couldn't quite figure out why. It became apparent when he was caught and convicted for sexually abusing a little boy. For this, the guy spent several years in jail. Good. The idiot needed to be there. While this guy was in jail, my neighbors had 2 adorable kids. First a little girl, then a little boy. Awesome and well-behaved kids. So well-behaved, it was almost freaky, but then I think my boys might just be part demon. Then, the pedo gets out of prison. When this happened, my neighbors told me that there was no way they were going to let this pedo near their kids, and I was glad that they thought this way. Responsible parents, always good to see. These folks were wonderful parents. About 3 months later, my husband and I ran into our neighbor's mother/mother-in-law. I was never sure whether I liked this woman or not. I was positive I didn't like her after this meeting. This entitled woman did nothing but complain about our neighbors. Her daughter could have done better, her daughter's husband was a lazy slob, they refused to go to church with her, yada yada. I was getting annoyed with her stupid rambling. These were great neighbors that actually watched their own kids when they came over. Then she started complaining about how they refused to let her nephew, the pedo, come to their house. She went on this tirade about how families should stick together and how them not trusting this nephew was just wrong. I stood there in horror as she told us how she had plans to pick up her grandkids and take them to meet her nephew so that he would be given the love and trust of his family, which he so desperately needs. This cow then went on to say that she might even leave them with him for a short time, just so, you know, he can show everyone how trustworthy he is. The police were stupid to say he couldn't be around kids, and she was going to prove it to them. I actually put my hands in my pockets to keep from just reaching out to slap her. I looked at my husband and saw that he was freaked out too. Here, we both were staring at this woman with horrified looks on our faces, and this cow just kept droning on, not even noticing. She was freaking stupid. When we got home, my husband walked over to our neighbor's house and told him what his mother-in-law had said. This neighbor wasn't surprised in the least and said that he wondered if this would happen. He thanked my husband for the warning and told him not to worry. Later, the neighbor told me what had happened. He said that his mother-in-law had come by a few days later and had wanted to take their kids to church. He told her no. She then asked if she could just have them for the afternoon then. He told her no again. She was getting mad by this time and asked him why he wasn't letting her have her only grandkids. He told her that he was afraid she would take the kids around cousin Pedo. The very next thing she said was that my husband and I were lying, that she would never do that. He hadn't brought up our names at all, so when she said that, he knew that she had been planning on doing just that. He told her that he knew she wasn't going to do that because he wasn't going to let her. She became angry at this and said that she would talk to her daughter about his accusations and left. Later, her daughter told her that she could come by the house anytime she wanted to see the kids. She also told her that anytime she wanted, they would bring the kids to her house for a visit. That is, as long as her nephew, the pedo, wasn't there. But never, ever was she going to be allowed to just take the kids without her or her husband. So she was just going to have to accept it. Her mother angrily told her that God gave her those kids, so therefore God could just as easily take her kids away. I'm not sure, but that kind of sounded like a threat to me, but who knows. So the mother-in-law did the only not logical thing and moved her nephew, the pedo, into her house. What followed was this woman moaning and complaining that no one ever visited her anymore and she was no longer welcome to any of her relatives' homes. The reality was that she stubbornly insisted that her nephew, the pedo, be invited too, and if not, then she was staying home. I haven't been able to figure that one out at all. Now the neighbor kids are all grown up. This woman still to this day lives alone with her pedo nephew and still loudly wonders why no one comes to her house or why she's no longer invited places.
Smash like, subscribe. Have you not subscribed yet? Subscribe for
Reddit subvoted.
or else there will be consequences. I am apparently Wendy Williams here. I can't speak. Thank you guys for watching another video. See you tomorrow. And as always, have a wholesome life. And I see you never. Bye.